Good morning from the Elliott School of International Affairs in the heart of Washington, D.C., where the cherry blossoms are in full bloom on this rainy day. I'm James Foster, the Carr Professor of International Affairs and Professor of Economics, welcoming you today to our hybrid webinar with Nobel Laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus, who will speak on the future of global poverty alleviation through social business. Dr. Yunus is in GW today and has been visiting with students and colleagues over breakfast this morning, part of a continuing conversation that began with his first visit to GW in 2016 at the Lisner Auditorium, and has continued each year since 2020, although online due to COVID. This is the first year since 2016 that Dr. Yunus has been back to GW in person, and we're very excited and honored to have him here among us. I will be moderating today's session, but as it happens, I'm on sabbatical at the London School of Economics this term, where I'm in the International Inequalities Institute, working on more holistic measures of poverty, inequality, and employment quality. Consequently, I'm particularly interested in today's presentation on poverty alleviation. And I'm eager to begin, but first I'd be remiss if I did not thank several folks who have made today's event possible. First and foremost is friend and alumnus Chris Fussner, who has faithfully supported GW's engagement with Dr. Yunus, including the GW Grameen Bank and Trust Student Internship Program, managed by our very own Jane Ives, who's with us here today. Chris has promised further support to create a Yunus initiative on extreme poverty here at the Elliott School. So thank you, Chris, for all that you do. Today's program was in part organized by the Institute for International Economic Policy at the Elliott School. And I want to thank Kyle Renner, the Institute's operations manager, who will be fielding questions on site, and also my colleague, prominent development economist Remy Jedwab, who directs the Institute, for their help. And of course, thank you, Dr. Yunus, for taking time out of your busy travel schedule to join us here at the Elliott School. Now, Dr. Muhammad Yunus needs no introduction. Founder of the Grameen Bank with its pioneering approach to credit for the poor, social entrepreneur extraordinaire, he was an innovator with cell phones who saw their potential for helping the poor well before the rest of us, the rest of the world, even had one. He's an inspiration for world leaders and to those aspiring to be world leaders. And he's an economist who, after earning his doctorate from Vanderbilt, reassembled the time-tested economic principles he learned in new ways, creating a new people-oriented model of economics and breaking down the key barriers preventing people from flourishing. I once asked Dr. Yunus, what do you do for fun in your spare time? And he replied, I try to think of new ways to help people, which is an authentic and true representation of what he does. Let me now turn it over to Dr. Yunus and his discussion of the future of global poverty alleviation through social business. Dr. Yunus.
Thank you. Thank you very much, James. So wonderful to be back in the campus. We missed visiting this campus and meeting students physically rather than on the screen. But COVID-19 forced us to do that. So I'm very happy to be back again. And thank you, Jane, to invite me for this occasion to meet you and meet everybody else in the campus. The issue that you raised is one that we have been struggling to find out the answer for that question. And I started this lending to the poor people out of the necessity that I saw existing in the country at that time while I was teaching. And I jumped into it, and I had no idea how far it will go. But it got me very excited about the possibility of being connected with individual poor person and the poor families and open up the door for them to do other things in the future. And while it is going on, I was continuously challenged about the banking system, and I criticized them very, very much as we went along. Challenged by saying they're designed in the wrong way. Banking system was designed the wrong way. Banks are supposed to lend money to people who need money, but the banks do it in a very strange way. They lend money to people who already have lots of money, and they don't lend money to people who don't have money. I said, that's crazy. This is the other way. And banks found it very strange the way I presented to them. They thought they were doing the right thing. And people asked me how I designed the whole thing, microcredit. And my answer became very simple. I said, all I have to do is to look at the banks, how they do their bank. And once I learn how to do it, I just do the opposite. And I got it done. So they go to the rich, I opposite, I go to the poor. They go to men, I go to women. They go to city center, I go to remote village. They want collateral. I said, forget about collateral. In our business, there's no collateral. They bring big lawyers to protect their interest, and no matter how small the loan size is, the lawyer is always big to protect the money given out. So we dismiss the whole idea of collateral. They get very shaken when I say we do banking without collateral. So, this is a disaster. I said, no, yours is the disaster. It's our the ones who won't go on. And COVID-19 was a good example when banks were having trouble getting their money back. We had no trouble, but we don't have any collateral, and we don't have any crisis because of that. So that's a kind of reversal of the system, and I'll come to that. And that led to another layer of question. Why people become poor? What is the process which keeps the people poor or stops all the attempt to bring them out? So I said, from my side, the answer is very simple. And my own experience justifies it. And I said, poverty is not created by poor people. That first you have to make it very clear. The reason for poverty is not the person. Then who is responsible? I said, the poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system that we built. And that's where the root of poverty is. We design it in a way where it brings poverty imposed on the people. So that kind of shakes up people that, oh, how come I thought we are helping people to get out of poverty? So no, system continues to push poverty onto the people. They don't let poor people get out of poverty. That's what the whole problem is. And it is all included in the framework that we build, institutions that we build, policies that we created. That's where the root of poverty. So if you want to get the poverty out, don't rush to people to help them to get out of poverty. Look at yourself. You are the root cause of poverty because you design all those things, design all those thoughts and so on. So that became a continuous theme for me, that poverty is not created by people, it's created by the institutions that we build. And for me, it's very easy to justify that statement by saying, look at the banks. And bank is directly responsible for poverty. All banks, because that's how they all do. They concentrate on lending money to rich so that they become richer. They will not extend a penny to the poor person, making all kinds of arguments why it cannot be done. Now that we have done it, they cannot say that, oh, it cannot be done. There's a kind of dance around it, saying that, well, it's too expensive. It is, sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it has impact on the people, sometimes it doesn't have it. I said, you can say this kind of thing from anything. From our side, we are saying that, look, it works. People take the money, start a business, pay you back with interest, and you cover your cost. You're not running in deficit, and you continue with that and bring money to continue with that. That this is the example of Grameen Bank. This is the example of Grameen America. Money is not a question. People pay back, you the money back again, they improved their condition. If we had open financial system which doesn't reject anybody, non-rejection, I think that would be the first step to undo the poverty of the people, because that led me to conclude another thing. I put it here. I have learned that all human beings are very creative. Creativity is the essence of human being. That's an issue that I keep raising that again and again. If you look at one human being, you see the enormous possibility of creativity hidden inside of the person. No matter, it may be the homeless person lying in the street, he or she has as much creativity as anybody in the world. Simply, he or she never had the opportunity to unleash that creativity, because system never gave them a chance to unleash that. They were told that, okay, I give you bread, I give you food, and that's it. You stay with yourself. Nobody gave the chance that I can create, I can discover myself, unleash my energy and so on. So that's where beginning thing will be, to look at human being as a creative being. And then led to the conclusion, and I say it in a much broader way, saying that all human beings are born as entrepreneurs. This is the essence of everything I do. All human beings. And that lesson I learned from these women that I work with, because they take $5 loan, $10 loan, $50 loan, and turn themselves into entrepreneurs. Step by step, she started with $5, then moved to $10, $50, and so on. And she moves on. Where does it come from? It comes from because it is inside of her. Simply, I was helping her to remove the barriers inside of her, the way she was taught. That all you can do is to go and serve other people as a maid, cleaners. That's your life. You have to find a job. I said the job is absolutely a wrong conception, which is imposed on us and created all types of problems. And we kind of go around at universities and education institutions encouraging young people to get ready to get a job. And if you're ready to get a job, you say, no, not only get a job, get a good job, better job, so that you have a better retirement benefit, so that you can retire and so on. I said, human beings' life is seen in such a shallow, such a narrow way. A human being is a much bigger, it's a global player. You made it a personal player. You just look at yourself and do that. So you have a kind of distorted the whole human being himself and herself by creating all those institutions which tell you this is your role, this is your destiny. Job is your destiny. If you're a jobless person, you're terrible, you have failed in your destiny and so on and so forth. I said, no. To begin, it was not a destiny for him or her. Destiny was to unleash his or her energy and creativity and so on. Treat the person as an entrepreneur, not as a job seeker. So education institutions have to be designed the other way, that this is an institution to help you discover yourself as an entrepreneur, because that's where you are. This is a guaranteed thing you are, but you are not familiar with it yet, because nobody showed you the path before, because this is the first round of thing that we are doing. If you had a previous experience from your brothers, from your parents, you'll not worry about that. But today you don't have to, because your parents are looking for job, your siblings are looking for jobs, so you're looking for job, as if that's the only thing you can do. So I said entrepreneurship is the first thing to discover. Some argue very strongly that no, that's not true. Human beings are not really entrepreneurs. Some people may be entrepreneurs, but not all people are entrepreneurs. Some people are lucky ones. They have enormous luck to be gifted with entrepreneurial ability. I said, I take the reverse position. I said, everybody comes as an entrepreneur, but you distort it to take a small role and be a job seeker and so on and so forth. So this argument goes on. I said, now I don't have to argue with you. If 10 million women in Bangladesh, 10 million, not one, 10 million women of Bangladesh, illiterate women, not somebody who got to school and so on, illiterate women in Bangladesh, turned themselves into entrepreneurs by taking loans, $50, $10, and so on, so on, turn themselves into entrepreneurs and continue to remain entrepreneurs. Not that, okay, now I got a job, goodbye to Grameen and I found a job. It's not like that. It continues, and she's not looking for a job. She's looking for people to give a job. She's not seeking a job. So I said, if it can happen for 10 million women for year after year, it's not just one shot and so on. I said, the entire world can argue with me to believe the other way, that people are born as a job seeker. I will not be convinced by that. I'm convinced that all human beings are entrepreneurs, and this is something we established. All we have to do is to pursue that path. How do we do that? That's where it comes to the next point of poverty and so on. I said, once you agree, or at least temporarily agree, that people are entrepreneur, then all the focus comes in the financial institutions. You can make it generalized. I said, they are entrepreneurs, but the world is created for them with the blocked roads. They cannot become entrepreneur because she's denied or he's denied from all the institutional support as an entrepreneur, including the academic institutions, and also denied the facility of expressing herself as an entrepreneur, himself as an entrepreneur. So it's a very simple thing. If you put money on the table, everybody around the table will become entrepreneur. But somehow that money is never put on the table. It's put in the table for other people who already made lots of money. And so the entrepreneurs who already had the experience of being entrepreneurs, they become super entrepreneurs, continue to make more money and so on. The guy who never had any entry point remains under the table because he doesn't or she doesn't have access to that finance and so on and so forth. So this is what the cause of poverty, because it divides up the whole thing. So the root cause of poverty is our economic thoughts, the way we thought about the system, that we designed the system, the banking system, business system. These are all the contributors to the poverty. Entrepreneurship, I just defined, I said that you design a financial system which doesn't reject anybody. Sometimes you hear or you read about an adjective about inclusive finance. I said it's not about inclusive finance. It is about exclusive, not being, you cannot exclude anybody. Inclusive means you include somebody. I said that's not an issue. Issue is you cannot be an institution which exclude anybody. Even the person insisting that he's not good for entrepreneurship, you don't believe in that. You continue and make sure that you find out the real person inside, despite the fact he was not aware of it. So this is the direction we have to go. So the financial system is something, not only it creates poverty in one way by rejecting, another way it does financing the wrong way, people who lots of money. So it became financial system or economic system as a whole, because of the financial system, became a sucking machine. It sucks wealth from the bottom and transport is in the top. That's what the income inequality, wealth inequality, all the things that you read about. During the pandemic, which is a very recent case, millions of people lost jobs, income, and you read about it. Billions of people actually lost jobs and so on. And it's a universal cry during the COVID-19 that those who struggled hard to come above the poverty level, when COVID-19 came, boom, they pushed them down below the poverty line, way down. Those who are below the poverty line already, they are pushed way down the poverty line so that they will have another several lifetimes to come near the poverty line. So one COVID-19 did that, and they are still struggling to come over the poverty line and so on, get back to what these were before the COVID-19. Same period, exactly the same period. Trillions of dollars of money, wealth, was accumulated in the hands of fewer and fewer people. So you can just read the economic system right on that message, that even in a crisis period, which just exemplifies what the normal period they do in a slow motion, this did it in a big motion, fast motion. Pushed down in one side, pushed up on the one side. So the wealth and people were separated. And that's what the machine does. It separates wealth and people. I said, that's what the cause of poverty. You cannot address poverty by keeping this machine on and say, we'll take people out. You can, but the machine will put you down because machine is designed that way. It's designed that way because one, I gave it the institution like called the financial institution is a big cause. Another, the other concepts, like I discussed slightly, by people being entrepreneur, economists give solution that you have to create jobs. If you create jobs, you are a hero because you have helped people get out of poverty. I said, no, job is not the solution of poverty. Is entrepreneurship is the solution of poverty because you let people decide what they want to do with their life. And you provide institutional arrangements so that he or she can take care of himself. He's in command of his or her own life. And that's the most important, is you are creative and you are in command of your own life. And that's what the institution should be building. So we designed wrong economic machine in our universities and teach our students to learn this wrong machine, to pass on that wrong machine, to continue with the wrong machine. So there's no chance for poverty to get out as long as you continue to do that. In order to undo that, so that people can come out of poverty, I go back to the statement that I made earlier, that we design the banking system in a way that whatever they do, we do the opposite. For the entire economic system, we do the same thing. You do the opposite, then you undo the things and people can come out of poverty. One, financial institution has to be redesigned. Another, make everybody believe and everybody can continue to pursue that I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm looking for entrepreneurial opportunities and so on and so forth. So entrepreneurship becomes important. Another fundamental thing in economics is economics began with the statement or with an explanation, definition of a human being. A human being is driven by self-interest. And that is the definition which creates the fundamental of economics itself. I said, that's absolutely wrong. Your starting point is wrong. Human beings are not driven by self-interest alone. There are other interests. You remove the other, which are more important interests than self-interest. Self-interest is only a small piece of human being. And what are the other interests? I said, to begin with, I say it's driven by self-interest, also driven by collective interest. In economics, there is nothing called collective interest. So as a result, we are not interested in collective interests because as a human being, as an economic being, I'm supposed to be interested in my personal interest, economic interest. And they define that economic interest as maximization of my profit. That interpretation. So we became another kind of species rather than human being. Human being, as we understand, has some human values that we talk about. But here, economics squeeze out all other things, keeps only one thing, personal interest. And personal interest turns into greed, personal interest greed into taking more and more. And personal interest doesn't let me see the interest of others. So we get blind. So we are trained not to see anything. If anybody wants to see something else, push it to the government. Government should look into it, not us. Our business is to concentrate on making money and concentrate money as a success. So this is the direction we go. So I'm saying no, that we redesigned economics, only then we can get rid of the poverty. So this machine is out. We have to build a new machine which will be considering a human being as someone who's driven by self-interest and who's driven by collective interest. And to explain what this collective interest business is all about, in self-interest business, you maximize profit in your business. that's done, that's elaborated. In the other part of the business is about collective interest. There we introduce a new concept of a business to solve problems rather than make money personally, which doesn't exist in economics. I said that is the reason we created all this mess. If we had that kind of business to solve problem without making any profit or any personal benefit out of that, that will focus on the creativity of the persons and the doing sustainable way of doing things and so on. So that's a business we introduce as what we call social business and define it by saying non-dividend company to solve human problems. Solving human problems is not part of economics, today's economics. I said, that's why you keep creating problems, but we're not responsible for solving it because our interest is to make money. We can destroy the whole planet to make money for ourselves. And that's what we do when we do the fossil fuel, when we do forest deforestation. We're very busy making money. We don't care what happens to the world. So we continue to accumulate all these problems. So as a whole, economic system has brought us to a situation where we destroy ourselves. And we created three major problems for that. I'll briefly mention that. One is a global warming, is a creation of the present machine that we created. Unless you undo that machine, redesign the machine, global warming is not going to disappear. You make promises, you do the little thing here, little thing there, but fundamentally you have not touched the machine. So you have to machine which is creating it. So we have to undo that machine, redesign the machine, and then we can address the global warming. Second, wealth concentration. Wealth concentration cannot be resolved until you have redesigned the system. Wealth concentration is not only in Bangladesh or India or some other country, it's every single country. You look at the statistics or information in USA, for example, city by city, country, state by state, you'll see the same thing, how concentration is increasing on the top, wealth is decreasing on the bottom. This is obvious, but we don't pay attention. We are all busy with making money, economy is growing for whom? That question is never asked. It's growing for them, not for me. I'm squeezed out. So this is what. Third one is massive unemployment. The system is creating massive unemployment. I'll just touch on that. It's because of the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will push all human beings from all economic activities because they are better. As simple as that. They do better job in a cheaper way. So what the economy, which is based on maximization of profit, will always put human being out, artificial intelligence in. In the process, ultimately human beings will become some kind of garbage on this planet. It has no use for anybody. And that's the direction we are taking. So this present civilization that we have created today is a civilization which is in a suicidal path. It will destroy itself. And our task is to see if we can design a new civilization, which is only way of survival. A new civilization which will allow us to rediscover ourselves as human beings with human values and get rid of the robotic human being that we created in the first civilization. We become a real human being and continue with that. And that's where I come with an image of a new civilization based on 3 zeros. 0 net carbon emission, 0 wealth concentration, and 0 unemployment. So that's the direction we have to go. Otherwise, we have no escape route. And then the young people are the one who has to do that, because older generation, their minds are already occupied by the old ideas. And I said, old roads, if you follow old roads, you always go to the old destination. That's fixed, you cannot change that. Old roads take you to the old destination. If you want to go to a new destination, you have to build new roads. So our task, young people's task, is to create those new roads so that we can reach that new destination. Otherwise, this is a suicidal path and it's not too far. The finishing line is very close. I'll stop here.
Great, thank you, Dr. Yunus. We actually already have a few questions in the Q&A function on Zoom, but I thought I'd jump right in and ask if someone in the room wanted to speak their voice and ask Dr. Yunus a question before I go to the list online.
Please, Maggie.
Yeah, given that one of your three goals you said was 3 zeros was zero net carbon emissions, do you place any sort of restrictions on the use of your loans based on their environmental sort of impact?
Not as much, because their loan size is so small in the daily life. There are so much restrictions on their daily life. We don't emphasize on that. What's a new thing is happening, encouraging things rather than stop encouraging things to go into the direction where they will not be using plastics as much as they did before. They will not be using fossil fuel as much as they did before. We thought that is a responsibility better undertaken by outside organizations like social businesses. So in Bangladesh, we created a solar energy company, renewable energy company, to bring renewable energy to replace fossil fuel energy. So that's, she has not done anything, but she has simply saw it a better way and replace her kerosene lamp into solar energy. So we're not saying we're giving you a loan, but we give you a loan to start a solar energy battery system for you. So we are doing that replacing. So us from an overall view, we have to create those opportunities for them to make solar energy and renewable energy, biocomposting, and all the things that we didn't have capacity to do that and finance those abilities and so on. So this is the one that we encourage people to do that rather than saying that this is a fossil fuel. We cannot give you a loan on that one.
Great. Well, I have a first question
but
on.
Just in a minute.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Let me. One thing that started very encouraging for me and for all of us, young people are responding to this 3-0 very well, and then they came up with the idea of creating 3-0 clubs. This is a new thing, started last year, middle of last year. So young people, 5, like in Grameen, everything is 5 people get together. So 5 young people get together. Young is defined as 12 years to 35 years. That's a young. The 5 of them can get together and create 3-0 club. The purpose of the 3-0 club, each member of 3-0 club commit himself or herself to reduce his or her personal contribution to all this mega problem that I mentioned. Reduce consumption in a way, reduce the consumption of fossil fuel. So if I'm consuming it 7 days a week, I reduce it 6 days a week, 5 days a week, gradually bring it to the 0 days a week. I do not consume, I do not utilize any fossil fuel. So you train yourself gradually to move into that 0 contribution to fossil fuel personally. And then personally contribute to 0, bring it to 0 to create wealth concentration. I do not do anything which is led to concentration of wealth. For example, I go for social business rather than personal profit-making business. So there, I'm not contributing to wealth concentration, because in social business, there is no contribution to commitment, wealth concentration, because I don't take any profit at all. So there's no room for me to do that. And then I don't do anything to contribute in unemployment by artificial intelligence and so on. So what I do, commit myself to go in that path, define that path, ultimately to turn myself into a 3-0 person. So one final day, I declared that I'm a 3-0 person. Whatever those problem of fossil fuel, the wealth concentration, unemployment is happening, is not because of me. I'm not playing any part. Today we play a part. All are active participants in doing all these things. And we demonstrate on the street and we write columns about it and lecture about it, but we do it all the time. But if I do not contribute, that's something very significant, that I have made myself free from contributing to all these problems. I become a 3-0 person. All 5 of us become 3-0 persons. That's a celebration. 5 of us in 3-0 club number such and such, we do not contribute any in all these problems. And hopefully we'll build up 3-0 families. And hopefully the next step, 3-0 villages. In our village, we do not contribute anything. World goes on its own way, we go our own way. And that is the beginning of the path to go to the ultimate. If I can make it a 3-0 villages, 3-0 cities, 3-0 world is just one more step, that's all. So that's the direction. And I'm very happy that they take interest and find out how I can do it, where I can do it, learning from each other and so on. So there's a large number of 3-0 clubs coming up. So we're very happy to see and learning from each other, collaborating with each other. So it needs initial initiative from individual. That's the point I was going to make. Go ahead, James.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. I'll turn it to the first question that's on the list. And it's basically someone in the US is really interested in having a profession or a career or some direction as to how to participate in the kind of initiatives that you're talking about. And this is someone who has got a master's in from an important big school here, I guess, GW, yes, and who went to, in fact, the Yunus Center and turned in it, and would just like to know where the outside of academia or internships, what's next? What can how can a young professional in the US contribute? So that would be the question first. And I'll ask a couple more just to get them on the table. Second is a question on technology, which the questioner points out is two-sided sword, if you will. It can help a lot in reducing poverty, but it can also increase war, for instance. So what do you think the role of technology is? And in particular, how can it help how can technology send war to the museum? And then thirdly, from one of the other questioners, good morning, thank you so much for this opportunity. Could you talk about social entrepreneur and how to go about leveraging it in the global South? And she finishes with muchas gracias. So, Dr. Yunus.
Thank you. Thank you for information and ideas and connectivity. Let me put this in linkage. We hold global events every year, like Social Business Day. We do it every year, usually in June. This year we'll make an exception because of our Ramadan coinciding with June. So we'll do it in July 27 to 29. It's a Social Business Day. We bring all the social business activists and microcredit activists, all the renewable energy and forestry, environment, and many other stuff together. So that we share and learn from each other, excite each other, and go back with the renewed energy to get things done. This year it will be in Malaysia, in Langkawi. So you're all invited to attend that conference. And the academic institutions, like there are many social business centers. There's 103 social business centers around the world, so many universities. We also convene meeting of all those YSBCs in the same time, same place. So the academic exercises, what are the things being researched, what are being published, discussed there, bringing the academicians together and so on. And the 3-0 Club convention also takes place at the same place. So all the 3-0 clubs who can afford to come there and tell what they're doing, what they're learning, and learn from each other and go back. So these events are very important. This is one, July is one. Get in touch with them. And some of them also can be done on virtual way. So you don't have to go all the way. You can do it right where you are and participate in it. So this is very important information. Other one we call Global Social Business Summit, always held in November. This November it will be held in New York City. So this will be closer home for you, but much more distant for us from there. But this is the first time we're doing it in New York City. So that will be again an exercise, bringing all the companies who are doing social businesses. There are many big corporates who are involved in social businesses. They will tell what they're doing to you, like Uniqlo, for example. Uniqlo has their own social businesses, Grameen Uniqlo company. Danone, which is a French company, is a Grameen Danone company. You may read it in internet and so on. So they will be all there and tell what they're doing and what they want to do next. So these are the sources what you want to get connected. Also, always invited to connect with us at the Yunus Center or Social Business Pedia on the internet. Social Business Pedia has all the information that we have with us to pass around with you and get connected. Or if you don't have any specific answer from there, write to us. We'll try to help you to do that. So that's one. On the technology side, technology is extremely important. There's no question about it. And technology will explode. We have come to a stage where technology will explode in a way. If you are 1 year out of touch, you become obsolete. You don't know what's going on in the world, because in the meantime, the world has emerged in a completely different way. This is the speed it will get as we go on, and with artificial intelligence joining in, will become obsolete very quickly. You have to grapple with the things that you need to do. So technology is a big help in taking route, creating new path to get to the new destination, which is important. But for with a warning for the whole statement that I made, technology is a fantastic thing to happen, to good things to make, but at the same time, it is the most dangerous thing that's coming for human being. Because technology doesn't have its own mind. Once you create it, it goes on doing that, because whatever you input it into it, and it has no limit after that, it continues that. So technology is driven by human mind so far. But the day it will be taken over by artificial intelligence, human mind is out. And as we enter a completely different world, we are helpless. We don't have any control over it. We don't have any mind into it. So far, technology is driven by human mind. So you have a good mind, do good things, bad mind, do bad things. Technology can be a wonderful blessing today. It can be a terrible curse today, because it's human mind which decides it. So technology by itself doesn't say anything. When you say technology is great, I would say not true. Technology can be great, technology can be disaster. You have to remember these two sides of the same time for everything. So whenever we talk about technology, always you have to draw a red line for anything, any technology. Red line that we must not cross this red line. The moment you cross that red line, it becomes a disaster. It becomes a curse. So far, it's a blessing part. It's a wonderful thing we can do. But the moment you let that red line cross, it becomes a curse. It destroys everything for us. Soon, we will lose control of the technology. We cannot even draw a red line because the red line is immaterial anymore. Whose red line are you drawing? You're not in command anymore. That's where we come. It's all red. There is no line anymore. So this is the direction. So technology has to be, we have to be very careful when we do what's technology. Technology should not be wildly supported and blindly applied, and shouldn't be doing that. Always remember, it can just cross the line and make a disaster. And the third point was, I missed the third one.
I do think that you've got to the bulk of them. The one was just on how you could bring this to the global South. How do you, could you talk about social entrepreneurship and how to go about leveraging it in the global South? So it's a broad question.
Sure. No, I like that. The point I was making, that in my thinking, in my presentation, there is no global South. There's South everywhere. There's South in Jackson Heights, New York. There's South in Cleveland, New Jersey, or Cleveland, Ohio. There's South everywhere. So the question is, the world is divided into South and the North in every location. So you see that because we created it. Simply because some people are super rich doesn't mean that there's no poor people in the country. You take country by country, you'll see the same thing. City by city, you'll see the same thing. So what we are talking about is addressing the whole South, global South, everywhere. in every city, every community, every place you would have. And it is an expression of the wrong thinking of human mind, which made people suffer. So we have to go back and address ourselves. How did I create poverty? Am I responsible for creating poverty? Yes, I am, because I teach those things which create poverty and tell them that this is safe. It is not safe. And I'm not giving that warning signal that this is very unsafe. You have to be careful when you do that. So that's where I would say that when we are looking for redesigning of the economic machine, it's not redesigning economic machine for a few people in one country. It's a global, it's a whole world is suffering for that. Just to give an example, during the COVID-19, which is a very current experience, we were trying to address this issue, how to bring the vaccine to people, save people, and so on, and struggling very hard, writing op-eds, writing letters to leaders, that when the vaccine comes, vaccine didn't come yet. When the vaccine comes, no patent should be put into the vaccine. It should be patent-free vaccine. And it was an universal campaign that we launched. Many people supported us, many leaders supported us, but never got it passed to the WTO, because WTO needs a consensus decision. Every country has to agree, member country of the WTO. There are a small group of countries which always opposed it. The rest of the world supported it, so never got it. So we never got into it, because we are saying that if you put patent onto it, few companies will make enormous money out of this, and most of the countries will not have any vaccine. And when the vaccine came into the market and continued and distribution and so on, and exactly that happened. 10 countries of the world, just 10 countries of the world, bought off 80% of the total production. Others had the 20% for the rest of the world. And people didn't have any vaccine. And the rich countries, all the rich 10 countries, not only they had vaccine, they have multiple vaccines for the same person, and waste of vaccines. Vaccines expired in their storages, but they want to let this vaccine go to other people. So this is how we concentrate. And these 10 people who have the control over all the vaccines, these are the 10 richest countries in the world. Because all the wealth of the world, probably 80%, 75% of the wealth is concentrated in there. So the rest of the world is remaining. So that wealth concentration is not just by one country, it's a global concentration also. If you are one of those countries, you'll be taking a whole bulk of the wealth, global wealth, into that country. So remaining of the, not because these are stupid people in other countries, simply the system works this way. System always sucks up everything to put into one direction. And that's where the financial system is very strongly functioning in that direction. So this is one concrete example how the concentration takes place as we go along. Yeah.
In the room, is there a question?
So how do you go about changing your mindset? Because I mean, I went to American schools my whole life and I've always been taught the same things. And I feel like it's very narrow-minded, but how do you go about changing that?
Make a start. Like everything start with the first step. 1,000-mile journey starts with the first step. When we were talking about the 3-0 clubs, to say I become a 3-0 person. There are 8 billion people. What does it mean? I said, you have opened the door. Just because you took the first step, the world will come to that 8 billion people will take the step. If you didn't take that first step, it will not happen. So take that first step. Tiny. The first step is very simple, very easy. Looks so insignificant, but that's what makes all the world change. And that's when, just my personal experience, when I did the first loan, it's totally insignificant. Even I didn't notice what I'm doing. But that was the opening of a door which never opened before. And what good thing that happened, I got excited about later on because of the controversy it created. It cannot be done, it's stupid. We are kind of diverting attention from the real issue. I said, no, this is the real issue. I'm not diverting it, I'm bringing it. Insisted, without knowing anything, just insisted because I felt that way. And I did that, and that's how. And all criticism after criticism, criticism after criticism, it never stopped. But we never gave up. And today, it's a very funny situation I should share with you because it puzzles me. Because of microcredit, because of Grameen Bank, I got lots of awards. Everywhere I go, they give you an award. And Sam knows how many awards we got from this city. The Presidential Gold Medal, Congressional Gold Medal, Presidential Medal of Freedom included into that. You name any award, they give it to me. So I said, that's good. They recognize that this is a good thing. I should celebrate that they have recognized that this is a good thing. Even the banks, big banks, they invite me to address their conferences, big internal conferences, tell them what banking should be, and applaud me. And I stand up, I tell them, look, you applaud me, you say I do good things, but I'm surprised, why don't you do it? After all these years of microcredit, has the banking system changed? No. I thought once it is done, people will be, oh my God, we are doing the wrong thing, let's fix it. Everybody will be coming on. See, they're blocked completely. Their mind is blocked. They're not changing. So we're saying we have to build a new financial system. This financial system will not change. So this is the beginning of a financial system. I said, we are not waiting for you to change because you don't look like you have an ability to change. So we have to create an alternative and replace you ultimately. We don't give up because this is the life of the people on this planet right now. That's it. So first step, tiny step is the most important step.
Do you see public-private partnerships as an option to expand the 3-0 mindset? And also, how do you think can social business interact with state and local governments to expand this 3-0 mindset?
Yeah, it's simple. It's a state level thing. If you want to do a joint venture with the state, for example, it's a social business. Healthcare is a good case. We have done lots of social business in healthcare in Bangladesh, and we continue to do that. Like we have created a series of eye care hospitals in remote Bangladesh villages and so on, because it's not available to them. And what's fascinating, when we created the first one of the eye care hospital, we are hoping that someday it will come to the break-even point, because that's the key to any business, to come to the break-even point. It took about 5 years to come to the break-even point. We celebrated, finally made it. We thought it will take longer than that. That means our business is in the right direction, people are appreciating and so on. Once you get to the break-even point, next year, if you continue in that point, you create surplus. You took care of all your costs, plus you create surplus. Surplus is fantastic news that you create surplus, because when you create surplus, then you have the investment money coming out of this old hospital for a new hospital. So you wait how many years it will take to create a new hospital. So we went to the next hospital because this first one is coming to the cross the break-even point and generating surplus. We invested the surplus. The second eye care hospital came to break-even point in 4 years, faster, because now we've learned many things, we can do that. And then we started the third plus eye care hospital and the fourth eye care hospital, same. So we have an expansion in the system, same money, but you create. If you find a partner, you say government becomes a partner with you, you invest money, you can go faster, replication, because the first one is the most important thing. It's a prototype. You succeeded, you develop, you do that thing, so it goes on and on. So we have a nursing college, started in a very small way. Now it will become a big nursing college. Now we were told that we are the #1 nursing college in the country. Now I was in New York, signing agreement with Adelphi University to have a collaboration agreement to bring their teachers and faculty to help us develop our own faculty, because faculty becomes a limiting factor. So they will be helping us to expand it to hospital, to nursing college, and we are preparing for the second nursing college because it's a social business. You get the money, you invest it, you get the return, and you invest it again, another nursing college. So that's it. So the partnership can come from any direction. It could be another nursing college jointly doing it for us, with us or somebody else, as long as it's social business. That's the key, because otherwise you want to do a nursing college to make lots of money, because you can do the lots of money too. Because the whole world comes to us to recruit nurses from our nursing college in Bangladesh. UK comes with a big team to hire all the nurses, all the graduates from our school to take them. Japan sends their recruiting team to take all the nurses to recruit. So there's a global demand, not only local. So why shouldn't you do it? All we are doing that we want to do it in a social business way, so that it doesn't become a burden on the students who are studying with us, and we can repeatedly create more nursing college in the same direction. So, third one we are doing is again in the healthcare sector, is a digital healthcare system, so that you don't have to go to any doctor physically. And COVID-19 has shown us many possibilities of that. So we are doing that in a big way. You stay home and all the treatment will be done on the digital way. All you have to do is your cell phone, download the app and get connected and define what your problem is and your connections, and all the lab tests, all the all the medicines that you need, all be done on the online and so on. So those are the kind of, so that allows you to reach to many, many people. And on that, as we start, we are focusing as you need to define where your first step would be. We're just in a couple of months, we'll launch them. Pregnant mothers, that's where our focus will be. Digital healthcare, focusing first phase in the pregnant mothers, so that your pregnancy is managed by somebody who knows and helps you. All the worries that you have, you can consult, you can do things and so on. And leading up to the childbirth, and we take care of the childbirth, so the safe birth, not death in the child, because death in childbirth is very common kind of result we see. So we want to save birth and so on and so forth. So this is using technology to help, since we cannot send a doctor here. The doctor can serve you from a distance to help you overcome those problems. So we are expanding our healthcare system in many different directions so that we can overcome this problem that we see.
So online, we have a related question. You mentioned healthcare and also the role potentially of government. Let me ask you a couple questions here. You can choose whether you want to answer them. We're getting close to our end of time, but the first one was uses of artificial intelligence creates unemployment on one hand, but it can also help people in terms of accessing healthcare services in an efficient way, better and cheaper. How do we draw the line to accept or reject AI? And then a related one, if you were in a room with the likes of Bezos or Elon Musk, who are pioneering in so many initiatives on artificial intelligence, what would your advice be to them, since you note that human beings may become obsolete? And then finally, what are the primary ways that governments can help? What's the role of government in your world, right, in supporting, say, social entrepreneurship?
Government's role would be to create enabling environment so that you can go and do your social business, encouraging people to go and do the social business on healthcare, water, education, entrepreneurship, whatever you need to do that. But the governments are busy pouring in money to their own projects, which is run by government bureaucracies, and one government comes, another government leaves, and suddenly all the project disappears. Another guy comes, it's all wrong investments and so on. So instead of taking those kind of risks, you support, encourage, inspire people to go into social businesses, so that whether this government exists or disappears, still the social business continues. So I would say right kind of law is very important. Now I'm criticizing the banking sector as a whole globally, but the real trouble began with the banking law. The banking law itself created the monster that we created. If we had created the right kind of law, right kind of bank would be created. So bank was not coming from sky suddenly. Somebody defined it, designed it, put all the details into it, called it a law. This is a banking law. And all banks have to fit into that. So the fitting thing is on the legal side. And that's where the law comes, that's where the politicians come, that's where the legislation comes and so on, how to regulate them, how to make sure they're on the right path, etc., etc. So government role is to be a supportive, a strong supportive of encouraging people to get into social business and provide the funding from the institution, not from the government exchequer. It could be just the financial institutions, encourage them to create social business venture capital fund. So that it's all venture capital goes into social business. Like we created our social business venture capital fund, addressing all the young, unemployed young people in Bangladesh. So that forget about employment. Don't even look for employment. Tell yourself, I'm not a job seeker. I'm a job creator. I'm an entrepreneur. And come with a business idea, we'll invest in your business. So our fund invest in the business, become a partnership. X amount we gave, X amount, Y amount you gave. So here's a joint venture. You run the business, make money, and pay us the shares that you own back to us, and you all the shares to you. We don't want to control your share. That's not our business. We are a social business. We don't want any profit from you to come to us. We are a non-dividend company, so we don't take any dividend. Dividend stays with you. So gradually, all the shares are transported to you. You become the 100% owner of the business, and as a social, you continue with your social business, whatever business you're running. So these are the things the government can do. And about Elon Musk and others, and also use of technology. The point I was making that technology is wonderful, but you don't forget the red line. That's exactly what you said when you apply artificial intelligence to healthcare. It's very important. Role of artificial intelligence in healthcare is enormous. Virtually, you can treat anybody anywhere with artificial intelligence. Possibility, not that it's already here, but that's the direction it will go, and people will not be sick anymore because artificial intelligence will detect even before you know something is happening in your body and tell you exactly what the cure is. Artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is enormously important, and artificial intelligence will be a super surgeon. We will treat your surgery in such a way, precisely doing the work no surgeon in the world can do that. So that's the skill artificial intelligence will have. But again, artificial intelligence can cross the limit. And I'm always saying that draw the line, how far you will take it, so that he doesn't take over us. And that's what the red line. And if I'm talking to Elon Musk or anybody else, remind them, look, don't get too excited to ignore all these possibilities. So when we come to it, we'll take care of it. When I say everybody will be unemployed, will garbage and so on, you know what the economists collectively respond to that question globally? You'll hear it, you'll read it about it. Universal basic income. Oh, don't worry, they will not have job, but they will have income. Where is the income coming from? Who will create universal basic income? Everybody will have their basic income. I said, okay, now I see what you have in mind. You make everybody unemployed and have universal basic income. So ultimately, that is the fate of human being. I don't accept. I don't want to be a beggar. We came all the way in history to be ourselves in full bloom. Now you say that no, your future is you are receiving a check every month to take care of yourself, and you don't have to use anything of your talented creativity. Human life is about enjoying the creativity he or she has, and what contribution he has made in this planet, and what signature he put on this planet by using the creativity. If you deny the creativity of human being, what is the worth of living in this planet? Why will you have a human being on this planet at all? I don't understand that. And then I raise the question, who is writing the check for the global, this universal basic income? It will be artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence will be giving us beggars food to survive. So that's we submit to them because there will not be anybody else left but the artificial intelligence. And they will be the one taking care, say, okay, well, take care of you, we'll give you some food in the morning, you eat too much, don't eat too much, etc. They will come out. I said, I don't want to see that future for human being. Human being is a glorious creation. It should go its own glorious path, not creating a situation where it becomes at the mercy of the other creation that he has created.
Well, I'll have to bring it to a close on that wonderful note. I really appreciate the time you've spent with all of us describing a new world with new institutions and greater human dignity. Thank you for coming to spread your word here at GW, and look forward to seeing you again in the future shortly.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for attending the Yunus webinar at the George Washington University Elliott School. I'm sure it was most inspiring. And thank you, Dean Ayers, for hosting this. Thank you, Jane Ives, for all you do to connect us all together. Professor Yunus, I have one question. What would it take to eliminate the bottom billion in extreme poverty, to lift them up out of poverty? Would a grant or loan from the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, African Development Bank, to you, to Grameen Program, and to other microfinance credit organizations lift people out of poverty and allow them to grow crops and trade and make things and start businesses? How do we push this concept forward on a larger scale? Thank you, and best of luck. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh. No, I was trying to elaborate that all this time. I was not saying that it is amount of money needed. This is old-fashioned thinking. Or the World Bank should do it, or IMF should do it, or somebody else. I said, it's not a question of money at all. It's a question of the machine. So it's not just throwing dollar into the problem and sometimes it will get help. So it doesn't need money. Money is in the system. System will create money. Grameen Bank didn't go take money from anybody. All our history, particularly initial history, everybody wanted to give us money. World Bank wanted to give money. Everybody wants to give money. We are all pleading around, please don't give us money. Well, please don't give us money. Government was pressuring at that time to take money because they were explaining if you take the money, all you need is your local currency, taka. So taka is no problem. We just print it and we give it to you. We need the dollar. The dollar stays with us. And Bangladesh gets lots of dollars just because they want to give you money. And that will be helping the nation. I said, that's for you to decide. But for us, we don't want to take any money from outside or inside because we create a system which generates money for itself. So in the entire Grameen Bank history until today, we had no problem of money. We had no problem of money, but not a shortage of money. We have the problem of surplus money. What do we do with all the money that we have? Because our bank, just like any other bank, we can take deposits. And people love to put money in Grameen Bank. And we get money. And we cannot use all this money right away. So it's accumulated. So we have to take this money to give it to other bankers. Why should I give money to people, rich people? With this money, we should be used for poor people. So we are in a kind of difficulty that if I don't put the money into some other account, we'll be missing the income and so on. So we had the surplus, how to quickly use up the surplus so that we can expand, so that we can come back. So we never had a shortage of money, never. So that's the system solution, not IMF give the money or World Bank give the money or ADB, Asian Development Bank give the money. These are old way, throw money at the problem. I'm saying change the system. System will generate all the issues.
Well, thank you, Dr. Yunus, for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure to host you here. Thank you for engaging with our students, and we look forward to further conversations on how to focus our attentions and to change our mindset for the new future that we all want to see and that our planet desperately needs. So please join me in a round of applause for Dr. Yunus.